Hi, I'm Nina. I'm the founder and owner of Grassstains Festival. I've been coordinating Grassstains Festival for 5 years now, and this year I'm in collaboration with Jules from Philly Stoop and Kyle from Philadelphia Psychedelic. I'm also a small business owner. My small business is Limit 9. Limit 9 is a way for me to create sustainably and with purpose and intention. Everything that I use is secondhand, sustainably sourced, already existing textiles reworked into new one-of-a-kind pieces for people to enjoy. So I started vending in 2019, right before COVID, and then coming out of COVID, I felt like we needed community more than ever. Everyone had been so separated for so long, and bringing people together, specifically artists who needed and wanted to connect with other artists, Grassstains gave me the ability to do that. And it's grown over the past 5 years and it's changed so much. And it's been a really beautiful journey and time to be surrounded by like-minded people and to give people a platform to make new friends and showcase their art and showcase their musical talents, or photographers to start their small businesses, and just to allow people a space, a safe space and a communal space to connect and thrive and grow. So a couple years into Grassstains, I made a decision to make it a sober festival while I was venturing into my own sobriety, specifically a dry festival with no alcohol. And one of our performers that year in 2023 came up to me and introduced himself and thanked me directly for giving him the opportunity to perform sober. And he had said that that was the first time that he had ever done that, because alcohol is super normalized, and like it's, you know, nobody bats an eye at a couple beers before a performance. And I just thought it was so sweet for him to tell me that he was so grateful for the opportunity, because who would have ever forced him to do that, you know? He's a grown man. And it was just really nice to be able to gift him the opportunity of a sober performance and to really, you know, tap into himself in a way that maybe he hadn't before, while enjoying his craft. And I just thought that that was really special to be able to give people the opportunity to connect on a deeper level and on a level that is true to themselves. Some of the hardest parts about hosting is trying to look at it from every angle when you're only one brain. I love feedback. Feedback is great. I love connecting with the homies and hearing what they have to say and getting input from as many angles and as many types of people as I can, to make sure that I'm always being the most considerate and thinking about every type of person and just making sure that everybody's considered. Like I said before, I started my small business in 2019 and I started hosting in 2021. And you always think when you start out that it's going to be like your closest homies and your childhood friends, but it's been so surprising and so beautiful to meet so many new faces. And like there have been people that started coming to the shows, and you know, you see them a couple times, you know them on a first name basis, you start to connect, and those have become, you know, some of my best friends and some of my biggest supporters. And having friends from childhood there is great. Having my family there is a joy. You know, I always want to include them in what I'm doing and just like really showcase something that I'm incredibly passionate about. Bringing people together is such a joy. And for like my parents to come out and see that, sorry, there's nothing like it. To be able to create like safe spaces in the community, where people from all walks of life with all different talents can come together and really connect and grow alongside and with one another. So I've met some of the best people in the world in this community, like specifically in Philadelphia, and I'm just grateful for them. Like, they're awesome. Growth, obviously, like in any change in any direction is like important, and I don't want it to be the same as it is now in 5 years. But I'm really great at not being a businesswoman and just being an artist. So I don't have like this master plan or this, these blueprints on how to grow it and how to make it better. Like, I want people to connect with me and connect with what I bring to the table, and I believe that the rest will follow through. If somebody wants to start a small business or wants to start hosting, it's gonna sound really cheesy and corny, but you have to stay true to the vision. You're never gonna appease everybody, and also, like, if it comes from a place of financial gain, I don't think that's the answer either. You have to be really passionate about what you're doing, and you have to really love it, because there are weeks that, as an artist and being full-time and as an organizer, there are weeks where you're working 50, 60, 70-hour weeks to make sure that you're hitting deadlines, and if you don't love it, that's a lot, but when you love it and you have a vision and you're passionate about your vision, those 50, 60-hour work weeks are worth it. So this year, Grassstains is in collaboration with Jules from Philly Stoop and Kyle from Philadelphia Psychedelic. You can find me for my art at limit.9, NINE, on Instagram. You can find Grassstains at Grassstains Festival. You can find Kyle at Philadelphia Psychedelic, and you can find Jules at philly.stoop, all on Instagram. And this year we're combining forces. So we have this tote bag that we're giving away with all of our pre-sale swag bundles. You can find that at the link in our bio on any of our Instagram pages. It comes with a bunch of other stuff, and one surprise pre-sale purchase will win free Stoop and free Grassstains event for one surprise pre-sale purchase will win free Philly Stoop and Grassstains events for life, and I think that that's really cool. So you can come and support us through the years free of charge. You can see where we grow and how we end up and if we join forces again, and I think that that's really special, and something so one of a kind. You can also purchase tickets at the door. If pre-sale's not your thing or tote bags aren't your thing, you can show up the day of and just grab a wristband. We're running from 12 to 8 this year at Lemon Hill Park in Philadelphia, and there's going to be stuff all day. We have full workshops from 1 until close. We have music also from 1 until close. We have over 75 art vendors all offering different things. We have painters and ceramicists, and we have people selling jewelry, all handmade jewelry. We have people who specialize in print work, just all different stuff. And we have a ton of workshops as well. Our workshops range from breath work and yoga in the morning to we have recess in the middle of the day with like one of those big rainbow parachutes. We have a tech deck fingerboard workshop where you can go hone your tech deck fingerboard skills. We have flow hour with flow toys and poi from some of our friends from the festival community who are coming out. We have spaces to paint and co-create, and plenty of space to just be. If you've never been to a music and arts festival or events like this are new for you, this is a great place to come alone. because everybody there is going to want to be your friend. Like this, it's a family-friendly event. It's a dry event. Your kids are welcome. Bring your family. Bring your closest friends. Bring your coworkers. It's truly and authentically a one-size-fits-all. We want all types of people to come out. And everybody's welcome. And I think that's what makes Grass Stains great. I've been Nina. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to come support us on May 10th, you can grab a ticket through our bio and our Instagram or our Facebook. Both are at Grass Stains Festival. It's GRASSSTAINS Festival on both Facebook and Instagram. Pre-sale tickets will get you a fun tote bag that I designed and also a lot of other goodies, or you can grab tickets at the door for just a wristband. Oh, and if you see me, come say hi. This is a place that you can come solo or with some homies. Bring a beach blanket, bring a couple chairs to lounge in, come listen to some live music, check out our art vendors, attend a workshop, and if you don't attend any workshop, attend recess, because it's going to be lots of fun. We have one of those big rainbow parachutes. It's going to be a ball. Sweet. Thanks for listening. See you there.
Hello, how's it going? I'm Kyle Cherokee, and I run Philadelphia Psychedelic. I'm also known as Rico from the Rico and Whaler Collective, and just Kyle from So Long Surfer. I've been a part of the Philly scene for probably about 5 to 6 years now. I went to the University of the Arts, no longer existent, but I did the music, business, entrepreneurship, and technology major, which was super special. It kind of taught me a lot of different aspects of the music industry that really I never thought I would ever get to indulge myself in as deeply as I've gotten to through using Philadelphia Psychedelic as kind of a means of my artistic and music business expression within the community. So I started Philadelphia Psychedelic when I was in my final year of college, based off of kind of a blooming new scene kind of coming out of the Philly DIY scene, which was a very, honestly, a kind of legendary scene. If everyone kind of knows of the basement shows, the house shows, to be a very Philly-oriented, legendary thing. And if you've been there, you know there's really nothing quite like it. And for a while, a lot of the shows in that spectrum were kind of more of the indie punk metal kind of leaning thing. Like it was like, let's get in a basement, get real sweaty and thrash around kind of stuff. But all of a sudden, there was sort of a shift, and bands started coming out with these sort of psychedelic, progressive, maybe a little bit more improvised sets. And I was thinking, why not have there be a sort of platform for these bands to connect and kind of inspire each other? And sure enough, once that started, visual artists came as well. We have guys doing liquid light shows that have been a big part of kind of what we do. That it's kind of a lost art, so it's really special to have people doing such a niche, cool, unique art that gives back to our events that we'll do at Philadelphia Psychedelic shows. And eventually, being a big Grateful Dead fan, a big part of their shows was the art marts and the markets of just anyone who makes art and sells shirts and clothing and vintage things, lot shirts, cassettes, you name it, food. They would all congregate at these Grateful Dead shows, and that sort of became a traveling market, if you would, that was completely DIY, completely by the fans and by the people. And sure enough, there was someone who was doing that exact thing in Philadelphia, and that was Jules of the Philly Stoop. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. She was doing that in a DIY setting in the streets right outside of her house in North Philadelphia, and they would have bands and a bunch of vendors come together, and I figured, well, this could be a match made in heaven, the experimental and psychedelic, interesting kind of intricacies of the Philadelphia psychedelic scene mixed with this illuminous and amazing grounds for art to be discovered and these connections to be made. It became something that I never ever could have imagined. And we planned our first show, I think, in 2022 as the original psychedelic Stoop. And from there, it was all go. We haven't stopped since. And eventually now, meeting all these people through what we do and the events we do, we met up with Limit 9, who was one of our most coveted and popular vendors at every single one of our events we've ever thrown. She sort of was the other organizer originally already because she was there first at every show and really cared and was always helping out the other vendors. And now we're so stoked to be able to work with her festival that she runs out of originally South Jersey called the Grass Stains Festival. So now we're coming together as the Grass Stains Psychedelic Stoop. You can't miss it, is what I'm saying, essentially. As an entrepreneurial expedition may be, there's always going to be lots of ups and downs. And that's something that I've kind of learned to fuel me in a way, is to try things and to fail hard. That's something you hear where they're like, don't be afraid to fail. And it's like, people get in their heads about, oh, failure, man, that's the opposite of success. That means I'm not going anywhere. But the truth is, there is no failure. There's only figuring it out, and it's how you ever going to figure things out if you don't try. And luckily, Philadelphia Psychedelic has been a great opportunity for me to try things that are beyond what I ever thought was imaginable or possible. And time again, proving that it truly is possible, and it continues to be possible and continues to shock me, and it's all just through working with great people and believing in what you do is the force. But there's been so many ups, and truly, like, it's all been such a journey, just kind of swinging vine to vine and seeing which one holds the strongest, and skipping rocks and seeing which one skips the furthest, and it keeps becoming something more, and seeing the scene that we've kind of cultivated blossom into something that's so inclusive and concrete that people really feel like they identify with. There's a whole aesthetic between Philadelphia Psychedelic, the Stoop, and the Grass Stains. Like, you see someone and they're like, oh yeah, they've probably been to that festival, and it's cool because it's just so organic and beautiful. But challenges as well, with trying things and with trying your hardest and trying these kind of new things that you never would have expected. You run into a lot of new experiences where you really are faced with things where you say, I don't know what to do right now. But then that's where you learn to figure it out. And for me and Jules, one of our biggest learning experiences, we opened up a warehouse space that was sort of a kind of DIY space that was going to be our festival, but in this one kind of hub for it all. And, though, as many would know, creating a business in a space in Philadelphia specifically is quite difficult and very hard to maintain. And there's lots of kind of things to look through. And there was a couple months there where we realized that keeping this space was going to be much, much harder than we originally anticipated. And we eventually backed out of it. So a lot of things going through my head at that time were, man, like, what could we have done differently, or what do we do? But after all, I think that was one of the most beneficial things in my life, was going through that experience and learning, what it means to really go up and down with something and what you come away with it. I think from that kind of tough experience, I learned more than I could have ever learned in school from any class ever. They can't teach you that kind of stuff. So don't be afraid. Do something, because it's probably going to make a lot of other people happy and really stoked. So listen to me, do it. It's so beautiful seeing regulars at our events, and it's amazing how many have come to even our first Psychedelic Stoop event back in 2022, who have come to every single event that we have thrown, and how important it really appears to everyone just to have this space of just freedom, and it's a completely open space, and everyone feels a part of something, and it's almost as if we're all adding to something greater. The whole festival is an experience that each person is putting their individual piece into, and it becomes more about just the art and the performances. It's a piece in time, and it's beautiful, and everyone really is a part of that, and we can, I'm sure out of the thousands of people that have come by, I could tell you the face of every single one. I could say they've been there, and it's special. It means so much to us seeing these people come back and want to support and be a part of something that like has just been like really just a trip. And I think when we know that it's people's first time as well, like there's been many times where we'll kind of have people come up to us and say, wow, like this is really, really special, like you guys are onto a great thing. And those moments definitely are sort of the eye-opening moments where you step back from your kind of craze of your work for a bit and you take a look and think, man, like this is really happening, and it sometimes it takes those moments to be able to step back and realize, the weight of what you're doing. And it's good to try and acknowledge that sometimes. And sometimes even we'll see people that look a little shy, and it just makes me want to go and like talk to them and say like, hey, like what are you doing? Like, what do you dig? Like, let's go. Let me show you this person's art. Let me show you this band. Let me introduce you to this band. Because the connections within this community is just the juice of what has kept really everything growing and moving. Is just such a tight community. The first event me and Jules threw, I remember walking through with some of my friends who had at this point become my crewmates as well. And we're looking around at this street just filled with artists, all students, local people that live in the neighborhood, and people we know, people we don't know. There's music playing on the street. Everyone's got a smile, and everyone's looking at each other's art, and people are looking at the vendors' art, and people are checking out the band's merch, and people are just having a great old time dancing. And I looked around with my friends, and I thought, this is it, this is what it is. This is what life is truly about, and hey, people, we got to do this, that it's thinking someone's got to be the leader in these things, someone has to be a leader that organizes and gets these things together. And it could be anyone, and I just want to say, if you're someone that has interest in this kind of thing, do it. Just try it. There's nothing like bringing together and cultivating community. It grows so much bigger and beyond what you ever could have imagined, and you make the best friends of your entire life. So come check it out and see what it's about, Thank you so much for checking this out. We want you to come check out one of our events and hang out with us. We'd love for you to come say hello, introduce yourself. We'll become friends. I'll tell you about how I'm Spider-Man. We love new people, and we hope you can make it out to our next event at the Grass Stains Psychedelic Stoop. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Jules. I'm the founder of the Philly Stoop, and I'm also a social media manager and event photographer. I started the Philly Stoop, it was kind of like a whirlwind. It kind of just fell into my lap. I came home one day and there was a concert being thrown on my street, and I was like, whoa, I've never seen anything like this before. I need to be a part of it. It was just so cool. I was never a part of the DIY scene. I have never gone to a basement show or anything like that. That was my first taste of it, and I was like, this is so sick, but it needs marketing. And that's where I stepped in. I went up to my neighbor who was hosting it, and I was like, let me help you. I can make graphics. I can promote on Instagram. That was my full-time gig at the time. So I kind of stepped in to that role to help, and it evolved into me wanting to start art marts. I was like, this is really cool, but there should be something for people to do while there's intermission. And, I was going to Tyler School of Art at that point, and I was just surrounded by artists all day. And I was like, these people, they need to get out there. They want to sell their material. They want to promote their business, and someone needs to help them do it. So that's where the art marts came from. And, me and my neighbor had like a falling out, and I was on my own. And I was like, okay, I know I can do this art mart thing, but I know nothing about this music side of the festival. And so I threw 1 or 2 shows by myself, and it was tough, especially coordinating music gear and finding a sound person. And then I found Kyle, or Kyle found me, I guess. We found each other, and it just went from there. Kyle started doing the music side of all of the Stoop Fests, and he really brought the psychedelic to the psychedelic Stoop. And I was running the art marts full time, and we made a really great team. And it just blossomed from there. We started doing monthly shows, and we were like, this is really cool. Let's get a brick and mortar and have a place to do it so we can do it all year long, because since we were throwing outside festivals, we had to shut down for the winter. And so we got a brick and mortar, we got a warehouse space, and it was really fun and beautiful, and we put in so much hard work, and it just fell apart really quick. It was way harder to maintain than we thought, and our landlord really just did us dirty, and we had to get out of there in a couple of months, but it was a huge stepping stone into what it is now. And, you know, after the warehouse kind of crumbled, I was so defeated. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was unemployed because I started taking on the Stoop full time once we went into the warehouse, and I had no job and no Stoop and no warehouse, and I didn't know what to do, and I just took a break. And I think that is so important for anyone running a small business of any sorts, is that you can come back, you know? Like, take your break, take your hiatus, do whatever you need to do, and it'll be there when you're ready to come back. And the Stoop community absolutely was. It was so beautiful to be able to come back months later, like almost a year, and be like, hey, I'm back. And everyone was like, yeah! Like, that was, you know, going in, you thought, is anyone going to be in my corner anymore? And they were. And that's like such a beautiful thing about the Stoop community. So we do have a lot of Stoop regulars. We've had people there since day one. It's amazing, especially our vendors. There's been some vendors like Limit 9 who has been vending with the psychedelic Stoop since the beginning, and now we're collaborating to throw this big festival together. So that's always a beautiful thing, seeing regular faces, and it feels like home when you see them, you know? But, you know, seeing all these new people, and especially when we put out this vendor application for this upcoming event, we had a question in the applications that said, you know, have you vended with the Stoop before? Have you vended with Grass Stains? Or is this new to you? Like, have you vended with either of us? And I'd say maybe like 75% of the vendors that applied out of 200 of them said they haven't vended with either of us. So we've gathered all of these new people and new artists, and they're going to bring in new people too, because their audience, and it's just as incredible as seeing the regulars, you know? And, yeah, it's really fulfilling. One time we were throwing a festival back when we were hosting on the street back in the day, and, you know, weather permitting, it's always tough sometimes. And it was super windy, and I ran in the apartment to get something, and I come back out, and the tent that was for the front table check-in blew upside down onto the band, and everyone was just like, oh, this is so funny, this is cool, we can fix this. And like, the team and the way we recovered was so good, even though a tent just flew into a performing band. I always think about that, and it's so funny. And when we were in the warehouse, even though it was really short-lived, one of my favorite artists ever, Xenadelphia, was a performer for one of the nights. And I remember just being in this warehouse surrounded by all of these people. It was like 8 o'clock at night, and Xenadelphia is just sitting in this warehouse singing, and I'm just crying. It was just one of those, like, I made it moments. Like, this is, no matter what happens, like, this is all that matters right now. And I think about it all the time, and I'm so grateful to have that small memory of, you know, a good memory in the warehouse before it all fell apart. I don't know where I see the Stoop in 5 or 10 years, but I hope it ends up being a place where all of these new artists can come and feel comfortable and promote their business and sell all of their cool things to all of these cool people, which is what we're doing now, but, you know, reaching huge, bigger audiences, and maybe booking at different parks and different places, and really being able to reach as many people as possible. But I do see it staying in Philly. Philly is our home, and Philly's been so kind to us, and, you know, we want to give that back. Yeah. walking into the event is super fun. You're going to be greeted by like the coolest people ever. And, you know, we do donation-based entry, so we want to make sure everyone's able to come to the Stoop regardless of their financial position. And so you'll be welcomed by awesome people, and you'll just walk into a wonderland. There's rainbow, beautiful handmade art everywhere. There's music in the background. People are yo-yoing. People are sunbathing. People are just hanging out, petting their dogs. It's just like a really welcoming, beautiful, colorful experience. And, you know, I'm very grateful for that because, you know, no matter how much work we put into this event, it's the people that show up that make it that way, you know? Thanks for listening. If you're interested in this event, you can find us at Lemon Hill Park in Philly on May 10th. We're going to have hourly workshops, 7 local bands, and over 75 art vendors. There's also going to be food trucks, lots of options. And if you're interested, you can buy an early bird swag pass through any of our links in our bios on Instagram. You can find me at philly.stoop on Instagram. And if you buy a swag bag, you get this really cool custom tote designed by Limit 9, as well as some other goodies. And you also get the chance to win free entry for life if you buy a swag pass. So that's really exciting. And yeah, if you see me at the festival, come say hey. I would love to meet you. I'm Jules.
I'm Kyle.
And I'm Nina.
And together, we're
Grasstain
Grasstain
Psychedelic Stoop Fest. We want you to come to this show because you won't even know. There's not going to be snow. So just show.
I was gonna say,
Okay,
can
Dr.
we
Seuss.
spitball for like 3 minutes?
Just-
You want to be here because it's the best time you'll ever have.
we start gaslighting the viewers.
Yeah.
I'm gonna gaslight you into coming to this event.
So
You want to be here more than you've ever wanted to be anywhere else.
Yeah.
It's true. I do know this about you. You can, if you get tickets ahead of time, you're gonna get a tote. That's gonna be able to hold everything you get from the vendor village, which you're going to get more than you plan on. I promise you.
The bands are, yes.
Call out of work.
The bands are yes.
Skip all your responsibilities. May 10th, all day.
All day we're gonna be there. It's going to be beautiful, and we're going to.
Oh my gosh. There's going to be a corn food truck
There's
that
gonna be-
only sells corn.
Corn
Corn.
There's also going to
Pilot
be
corn.
smoothies,
smoothies.
Boba.
sushi.
Boba.
Sushi food truck. Which sounds sketchy, but it's not.
It's going to be phenomenal.
Sushi food truck.
Workshops, recess, big parachute,
Dogs.
hopefully dogs.
Yeah, please
Bring your
dog.
dogs because we'll be sad if there's not dogs.
Yeah.
We need to pet the dog.
Stickers,
T-shirts. Beautiful
water.
things.
Smiles.
Please come.
Smiles.
I'm Jules.
I'm Kyle.
And I'm Nina.
And you're watching Disney Channel.
Dun, 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 dun.